All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, May 8th. We got just one NBA playoff game to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. So, yeah, we got one game to dive into. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays so that I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. All right, this morning I woke up fighting two things. Allergies, so if I sound a little bit different, congested, rubbing my eyes, I'm battling that. But we're also battling some demons, because last night, a reverse sweep of a night. Only a unit and a half total on the line, but we like Jason Tatum and the Celtics. Womp womp definitely deserved for that. We'll save the Celtics rant as a Celtics fan for another day, but you know what? I am a little bit worried. Texting Kyle Kerms after the show, right? Shout out to the sauce. And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm worried. And he's like, what can you be worried about? You're just playing the grittiest team in America. And I was like, oh, my God. Second, we had Jamal Murray. We liked his spot, right? He stunk it up as well. So you know what? I think we're deserved a little womp womp right there. Two womp womps in the first, minute of the show. Definitely deserved there. A reverse sweeping of a night. But you know what? It is what it is. It's the playoffs. It is tough out in these streets. Let's go ahead and dive into this game, guys. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. We do have Minnesota taking on Golden State here. Minnesota 10.5-point favorites. That totals at 201.5. Now, Golden State ends up taking game number one, right? And you might be thinking, okay, well, Golden State plus the 10.5. They're playing really good basketball. Why wouldn't we look at them? Steph Curry's ruled out of this one, and that's a big deal if you didn't know, because Steph Curry being probably the most important player on this team. I know Buddy Hield's been going off. Jimmy Butler, what a good fit. But ultimately, this team, I think their net rating drops a few points without Steph Curry, and it goes from in terms of their offensive net rating from a 117 this season, dropping down to almost a 110 or somewhere in that ballpark, right? So obviously Steph Curry really does matter to this team. They score about 10 points less per game when he doesn't play as a team. So that's why that spread is so large. I mean, game number one, we did see Minnesota closed a 6-point favorite. So it's not like this massive movement. But a team that lost by, over 10 in game one, still at home here, getting a boost to the spread kind of makes sense with no Steph Curry there. Now, where do we go about rolling with this one? I would say that it's a Minnesota spot, right? We've seen this a couple times. Celtics didn't do it, but OKC definitely did. You come in here, you beat us. Okay, well, game number two, we're going to jump out and play well. I guess the Cavs didn't do it. The Celtics didn't do it. But the Thunder did. And you can even make the argument that the Cavs did, right? The Cavs started that game really hot. It came down to the end of the game in which they lost. So the thing that I would end up rolling with probably most comfortably, I guess I should say, is maybe Minnesota -1.5 in the first quarter. I think this team starts hot today. In their last 10 games, they've covered that number, so -1.5 in 7 of their last 10 when they're at home in their last 10. But we can even do last 5 home games to make it a little bit more of a small sample size. 4 of 5, and 2 of those games have been in the playoffs, right? One against the Lakers, and then they did win the first quarter against the Warriors here. You flip it over to the Warriors side of things. If they have the +1.5, right? They haven't covered that one in 4 of their 5s, even when, Steph Curry is 4 of their 5 last away games, by the way, which all would have come against Houston or that first game against Minnesota. So I do think that this, even with Steph Curry playing, but I do think this is a spot in which Minnesota, 10 points, 11 points is a lot to have to go out there and say, hey, let's beat this Warriors team who clearly is kicking and firing pretty well, right? No Steph Curry, 10 points, sure. If you like their full game, I'm really not going to talk you off of the ledge or anything like that. But I do think the smaller you shrink the sample size and get closer to the beginning of the game could be good for Minnesota. So I like them on the first quarter spread. I also like them in the first half. In terms of their first half numbers, we can pull those up as well. So first half, you can get them right now for -4.5. Warriors ended up winning that first half, though, by the way. And Minnesota against the Lakers didn't look all that great in the first half either. So the more and more you shrink that sample size, I'll say it again, the more and more I'm comfortable with it because I think this team is going to come out kind of firing, come out hot. So I like them in the first quarter. I like them a little bit more, I guess I would put it like this. I like them in the first quarter. I like them a little bit less in the half, and I like them even less in the full game. But without Steph, I really can't get to the Warrior side, right? So I'm trying to find a way to kind of carve out a Minnesota bet, and I think it might be Minnesota first quarter. In terms of a total, honestly, the Warriors' defensive rating drops as well against their opponents when Steph Curry doesn't play. So I sit here thinking this seems like an over-type game, right? I mean, when we look at Minnesota's shooting in game number 1, they shot 17% from three. Like, quite literally 17%. We had, from a three-point perspective, 1, 2, I think they made 5 threes. DiVincenzo 1 of 7. Nasri 3 of 7. Ant only 1 of 5 from 3. Nobody else made a 3. This has to be a game in which they shoot a little bit better. So I'd consider also a Minnesota team total over, potentially a full game over, because even looking at the Warriors, though they don't have Steph, I do think that they can shoot better. They shot 39% from the floor in game number 1. And yes, these are two good defensive teams, but are we really talking, that good? Like, on the season, 2 middle-of-the-pack offenses. In fact, Minnesota, top 10 offensive rating. And yes, 2 top 10 defenses, but still a 99-88 game. I can't see another game that low. Might pivot it to, like I said, Minnesota, though, because we don't have to worry about the injury of Steph Curry on that side of things. And right now, you can get Minnesota over 104.5 for minus 155. You can go over 105.5 for some decent odds there. In terms of their head-to-head, Minnesota's been averaging 106.6, so call it 107 against Minnesota over the last 8 games that they've played against them. And when they are at home, they've averaged right around that 106 number. So if you get 105.5, I still think that you're okay, I would say. But yeah, no Steph Curry. I do think this could be a decent spot for Minnesota to get out early, as well as maybe that pace to just go and create some more opportunity for Minnesota kind of controlling the pace of the game. Because as we know, even though, that first game was realistically a Jimmy Butler and Buddy Hield game because of Steph, going down, it's still like a Steph Curry team. Now they know he's not there. Now Jimmy's going to control the pace. Buddy Hield's going to control the pace. Those aren't the same type of take over the rhythm type guys, right? I say that after game 1, making it tough, but ultimately that is what I'm going to lean towards here. In terms of what we have from a player prop perspective, I'm going to take a peek at Brandon Podziemski. So let me take a peek over here at the Outlier screen. Guys, if you want access to Outlier, I have a link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. You're going to get 7 days free of what I would consider the most powerful sports betting research tool, especially for player props. They also have EV boosts, arbitrage, and middle options as well for Outlier Premium if you want to check that out. We'll go through that in just a second, but let me go through this Brandon Podziemski spot here. So we'll clear all of our filters. I like his over in assists, which is 3.5 for plus 100 over on DK, plus 100 on MBM, and then kind of minus 105-ish on other places, right? You could see he hasn't really cashed it all that much. 4 of his last 10 games on the season, 48%, averaging 3.3 and 6.9 potential assists, right? This is why this tool is so great. It's very, very powerful. Minnesota against point guards, against shooting guards, kind of decent against the assists, right? But this is the big kicker. You go games without player, games without Steph Curry, and let's see what we got here. All of a sudden, the last 10, okay, now he's averaging 4.6 assists, 8 of his last 10. Head-to-head, he has 1 game without Steph against Minnesota. That was back in 2023. He had 5 assists on 7 potentials, but we talked about that 6.9 number in terms of his potential assists on the season. How about that? 8.8, almost 9 potential assists when he does go out there and play without Steph. His normal line at 2.5, probably still a decent parlay piece, but now it's totally juiced. He had 3 in that last game, I believe, against them. Let's see if I got that right. He had 3 assists here, so even still with Steph Curry, if you look at his recent games, he's averaging right around 3 assists. So all we're really looking for is 1 more and a few more potentials, and I think that we're cruising there. And obviously, he's going to get his playing time, right? On the season, and we'll go last 20 to make it a little bit more recent, 30.8 minutes there. That's with Steph on the floor. So without Steph, actually, let's do this. Games with Steph, his minutes should be right around the same, right? 31 minutes. Games without Steph, all we want to see is that number or more, which, boom, 32.2. So he's getting a little bit more run without Steph as well. I think this one checks out. If this 3.5 was minus 1 30 and, I'll pay a little bit more juice than the next guy sometimes, I don't know if I'd like it. Like, I love the fact that we're getting some value at the plus 100 number overall, right? So Brendan Podziemski here, over 3.5 assists. Let's go to the EV screen and see what we're working with here, because there definitely is a lot of use out of this over on Outlier. So let's stick to this, and let's get some NBA in this action. You guys are seeing real time what we got going on here, huh? And we'll do next 24 hours, and let's see what we got. So Jimmy Butler over 7.5 rebounds. You could see the what we're getting in terms of EV, right? FanDuel plus 132. And the way that this works is you can see FanDuel's plus 132. Other books have it in the plus 115. So that could be a decent look. You have Draymond Green here. Maybe this is a decent look. Minus 102, minus 110 elsewhere. Those are two that I'd consider. I would say that Draymond might be a good look in a sense, because a lot of people might be thinking about overs on the Warriors side of things, whereas I think that unders, I mean, rebounds is a different story, but unders for some of these guys that you might think like are going to get this influx of go because of Steph. It's like, one, the books know that, and sure as hell the Timberwolves know that. So everyone's probably gonna run to the Buddy Hield lines and whatnot because he's been playing so well and because he's played well without Steph, and now Steph's out. I'm kind of sticking away from that. I'm looking at, again, Brendan Podziemski in the sense of just one more additional assist than he's been averaging, and I think we're okay. But yeah, just be weary that it's not. I doubt any of us are getting value at this point on guys because Steph is out from a points perspective, because those have already been kind of built into the market. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, just to recap, I like the Timberwolves. First quarter is probably what we're going to roll with. Like their team total over as well. And then Brendan Podziemski over 3.5 assists, 4 plus 100 is also something that I'm definitely considering in this one. I would say if I had to rank them, Podziemski and the first quarter line seem like the ones that I like maybe the best, and then it goes team total, first half, that type of thing. So yeah, that's what I got today. Hope you guys do enjoy. If you did, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Yeah, I know some people be like, one game, 12 minutes you're talking about it. It is what it is. We can ramble. Comment 12 if you made it this far in the video. We'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.